Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Live Show, where I, Sunita, along with my co-host Tracy, we hop on every Friday and talk about everything North Fork. It is still apparently winter on the North Fork, but as you can see, I have a tan, and somehow this iPhone, whatever the way it's taking the picture, is making it look really orangey and weird. But I'm happy that it still shows. I was away for about 10 days in really warm, sunny Belize, and I loved every minute of it. But then I come back to winter, and I'm like, what happened? It's April, so let's collectively hope that the sunshine that's here today is here to stay, and that spring is actually coming. On our show today, we have a fellow member that we met through the web group that we always talk about, the Women Entrepreneurial Business Group on the North Fork. And her name is Jeena, and she is an injury lawyer. I guess she's a lawyer that helps people that have injuries, and she herself has experienced a personal injury. I don't know if it's a car crash. We're going to hear more about that. So we're looking forward to seeing her and hearing about her journey, and seeing how she can help others that may end up needing her help. I am hoping to see Tracy soon. I know that she posted yesterday that she wasn't feeling the greatest. So not that I have jet lag, because Belize, not quite sure what time it is, what meal I'm eating. I'm just settling back in. And with Tracy not feeling 100%, this might be a fun interaction. Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there.
Between my tan and your you're not feeling great, this might just be like, what planet are we on?
Yeah. You look beautiful and healthy, and
Thank you.
love a tan. I can't wait to hear about your trip.
This morning as I was getting dressed, I looked down at my feet and I have a tan from my flip-flops because I wore the same, literally to every restaurant, to every place. I wore the exact same flip-flops, and I'm not sure I ever have had a flip-flop tan.
Well, that's a sign of a good vacation, I'd say.
It was great. Good morning, Jeena. How are you?
Hi,
Good
Jeena.
morning, ladies. Tracy, I'm so glad to see you today. I know you were not feeling well yesterday.
It was, I was all night long. I kept going, I can't do this tomorrow. I can't do this tomorrow. And then I was like, well, let's see how you feel tomorrow. It was a tough night, but I'm feeling a little bit better today.
That's great. Well, I'm glad to see you both.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you here too, Tracy. So let's jump into it, Jeena. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Sure. So my name is Jeena Belil, and I own the law office of Jeena R. Belil PC with my partner and husband, Paul Variali. And we are personal injury attorneys. We specialize mostly in car accidents, construction accidents, nursing home negligence cases, and some, not too much, but a little bit of medical malpractice cases.
So how long have you been a lawyer?
So I've been a lawyer since 1995. And yeah, before I started my own firm, I was actually on the other side. I worked for insurance companies since about 1996 through oh my goodness, 2007. So my last gig at an insurance company was managing counsel for a very small insurance company on Long Island called Auto One. And then I started my own thing.
So that must be very helpful. I would assume that's a lot of the people you're going up against is the insurance companies.
Absolutely, especially with car accidents. Absolutely. And it's funny because a lot of the people that I worked with work for those insurance companies. So we really have some nice relationships. It doesn't mean that we're not adversarial and we're not taking a position, our own positions on cases, but at least it's a really good relationship. It's a good working relationship, which is, it gives me a very unique perspective, comparatively speaking to a lot of other personal injury attorneys on Long Island.
That's so great, though, that you have the experience from the other side. And unfortunately, were you always involved or interested in personal injury law, or did your own personal circumstances bring you there?
So when I was in law school, I wanted to be a criminal defense attorney, but the market, was a little tight back then. So I took the first job I could find, which was personal injury, a small personal injury firm in Rockville Center, New York. And after that, I switched over to insurance, and it, I was just kind of thrust into the personal injury world. I left my dreams of criminal defense law. I left those aside, and I've been doing personal injury all my whole career. What helped me get more, provide more empathy to my clients is the fact that I was in my own car accident, very serious car accident in 2012. So we can talk a little bit more about that if you want. But yeah, that really gives me, you know, a lot better perspective on what my clients are going through on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, tell
Oh,
us
that
a
sounds
little
scary.
bit. Tell us a little bit about your experience following the car accident and what happened there.
Sure. So I was on my way to court. I was on the LIE service road, and I was going through a green light, and a car hit me on my driver's side, T-boned me right on my driver's side. The impact was so hard that she actually flipped over the hood of my car twice and landed on her roof. It was really scary. And when you're in the middle of a car accident, you really do see things in slow motion. Every time just slows down. Um, I was hurt as a result of that car accident. To make a long story short, I'm still dealing with some of those injuries even today. And it's been 11 years at this point, or 12 actually. Oh my God, my math is wrong. So it's been about 12 years, and I'm still dealing with the repercussions of that accident. Um, but what gives me a sense of what my clients are going through is that the treatment that I had and dealing with the insurance companies firsthand as a victim of an accident really gave me that perspective that many personal injury attorneys just don't have. Um, do I count it as a blessing? I don't know, but it certainly gives me the empathy that is so needed when you're dealing with clients that have been impacted by the negligence of somebody else.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, I'm so glad that you're here to talk about
Thank
it
you.
because the way you're describing it sounds really scary when you hear
Yeah,
about cars flipping. I want to take a pause and a breath. So I'm grateful you're here.
thank
And
you.
I hear you when you say that having gone through that process and seeing the inner workings of it really does add to the expertise you already had in terms of
Right.
being able to help people because you were already sort of helping people that were going through or dealing with people that were going through claims and not just even the financial aspect of it, but the entire process of
Yes.
recovering from something traumatic like that.
Right. I mean, treating after any kind of an accident becomes a second full-time job if you have a full-time job. You're dealing with different types of doctors, different types of treatment until you find the best treatment for what is ailing you at that point. And sometimes you have to go through a number of different providers to get the type of treatment that is really going to help you after an injury.
Not to mention that you have to find ones that are in your network or that take your insurance and all of that. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
no fault insurance is what covers you in a car accident. And once you're in a car accident, you put your no fault carrier on notice, that becomes another job. And it can become very overwhelming. All the paperwork, all the phone calls, all the contacts. And now your insurance companies can actually text you, they email you. It can become very overwhelming when you're dealing with the trauma from an impact. So, one thing I like to say actually is you don't need an attorney like me until you really need an attorney like me. And it's better to actually contact me at the very beginning before you get overwhelmed by the insurance companies, because I can explain to you, even if the case doesn't go any further than the no fault aspect of it, at least I can explain to you your rights and responsibilities under your own insurance contract, because you don't read your insurance contract. None of us do.
I
But
mean,
I
it's
can,
like the Apple contract. I have no idea
yes,
what they snuck in there, but I know it's 32 pages of something, and I'm like, sure, whatever.
exactly, exactly. So I
So
would be
wait,
there to,
wait. So I just want to back up a second.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit about what is no fault coverage?
Sure. So when you buy insurance in New York for your car, you buy certain different coverages. One of those coverages is liability, and that's protecting anybody that you hurt in an accident. Then you have coverages that protect you, and those are the most important coverages. One of those coverages is mandatory in New York. It's called personal injury protection or no fault insurance. That is mandatory, and the statutory minimum is $50,000 in coverage. But there are conditions that come into play when you get into an accident. You have to put the insurance company on notice within 30 days of an accident. You have to follow their guidelines in order for your benefits to continue. So I'm able to explain all of that ahead of time before you get overwhelmed. Um, there are aspects such as lost wages and possibly home health care if you need it, medical mileage that the claim representative may or may not explain to you as well as it should be explained. So I'm here to make things a little bit easier for people right after a car accident, right after any accident.
So it sounds like, because I think my misunderstanding
Hmm.
was that a personal injury lawyer is like, you would sue the woman who hit you.
Yes.
But it sounds like you're more of helping the person navigate all of the different ways and things that they have available to help them through this process.
Absolutely. It's a very holistic approach, actually, because before you even get to the pain and suffering portion of your accident, you're dealing with the treatment portion. And there are different insurance coverages that come into play. Because after a while, your no fault may end up stopping payments on your treatment based upon a medical examination that they set up. So then I would go into what are your options at that point? Do you have your own personal insurance? Are you seeing doctors that will treat beyond that denial? And we strategize and we go through all of those different options together. So yeah, it really does become a holistic approach.
So now you mentioned you worked in Rockville Center. So how did you end up out here in Riverhead?
So I met my husband in law school, and we started out in Bayside, Queens, living together. And when we were married, we were still in Bayside, Queens, and we just kept moving out east. We ended up in Nesconset after Queens. Then we spent 16 years in Mount Sinai, and that's where we raised our daughter. She graduated from Mount Sinai High School. And then after she graduated, we just moved into the house that we had already purchased in Southold, and it was a great thing to downsize. It really was, just to get a lot of that junk out.
Well, I can say that now that I'm on the other side. I have to add the disclaimer that the process of downsizing, at least for me, was a little bit traumatic. I think because we get comfortable in the situation we're in, right? So we lived
Absolutely.
in New Jersey for 26 years and raised the kids there. So that was my comfort zone. And leaving that and moving here is like, how am I going to fit into a closet I had a walk-in closet and now I have literally a single rod, but I couldn't be happier with
Yeah,
fewer things. I just love it. So I don't know,
100.
did you have a difficult time doing the transition or were you ready for it?
The difficulty was how long it took to do the downsizing, to go through every cabinet, every
Why do I have
closet.
this? Why do I need
Yes.
it?
Yep.
I had
So
things in storage for about 2 years. And I
we
finally went in and was like, I don't need these pots and pans anymore. Like, this is crazy.
yeah, we
Well,
still
the best advice a friend of mine gave me when I was moving was do not get a storage unit because
Yeah.
most people that put things in there thinking that they will need it, because her experience was like a year or two later when they came back because they moved to a different place. She opened that storage unit, looked at everything, literally sat down on the floor and called somebody, paid them to get rid of everything that she paid for storage for 2 years. I mean, because I think that's what happens. We move on and we
right.
start living a different life, and then those old things don't really make any
Yeah.
sense.
Exactly. I'm
Well,
gonna have to do
I
that.
didn't have a choice, but
Yeah.
I had different circumstances, but But yes, I
But
would
but the
agree that I
net
lived
result is
perfectly.
literally similar in that you
Yeah.
know your new life doesn't fit those things, so
I lived
impossible.
without them for so long, so I
Yeah.
was like, I guess I don't need this food processor. I don't really use it.
Or,
Yeah.
or or the dining table that sat
Yeah.
12
Right.
people around it when you had Thanksgiving, but we
Yeah.
live on the North Fork. You know, it's a
Yeah.
totally different life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in Southold now?
So since 2015, that's when we purchased the house. And then we've been here full time since 2021.
That's
And
awesome.
when did you open the practice in Riverhead then? When did you move?
So we moved into the office in Riverhead during COVID, believe
Oh,
it or not, because we were all, it was my husband, myself, and my daughter under one roof during COVID. And I said, we need to move to, I need to get out of the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I found an office right across the street from the courthouse at 224 Griffin
okay.
Avenue, and it was perfect. We we still have the office in Hauppauge, and we still have a satellite office in Westchester. So we're really able to provide services all over Long Island, down and all over downstate New York, basically. But the main office is in Riverhead at this point.
Now you
And so
said
then
your
it
husband
must
is
be
also
more
your
than
business.
just you and your husband then, if you have that many offices. Do you have a bunch of people who work for you?
So it's myself, my husband, and we have a paralegal, and she's been with me since the very beginning. And we really we what how I started this firm was that I wanted to be virtual and mobile. And this was 16 and a half years ago. This was not, this was
Before everybody used Zoom every day.
absolutely. So I
And
always tell
telehealth.
this,
Now we have
yeah,
telehealth.
exactly. And so I was kind of ahead of the curve, and I was ready for COVID before COVID happened.
Same.
And it really, we were able to just navigate right through it, and seamlessly without having to change any of our practices.
That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so what would be your advice to somebody that is hearing this and just starting to think about what they should be checking for? Because I know you mentioned that the coverage is sort of mandatory in your car insurance or whatever. But what should people be looking for? Because you also mentioned personal insurance. So tell us some tips on that we can do before something ever happens, and hopefully we never need it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always contact me and we can go through. I'm not an insurance agent, but I can look at coverages and at least help you decide what you want to talk about with your agent. Or you can go straight to your insurance broker and you can say, I'd like to have a review of my insurance coverage, my car insurance coverage. You want to make sure you're as maxed out as possible. So if you have, say, $100,000 on your liability, which is, I think, the minimum for any type of leased vehicle. Okay, if you have a leased vehicle, the minimum you want is 100,000, and I think that's mandatory. So you want to look at your other coverages that cover you, your no fault and your SUM coverage, which is supplementary uninsured motorist coverage. Let me go
I'm
through
making notes.
Yes, let me go through the no fault first. You want to max out on your no fault because, say, for instance, you're in a catastrophic accident. God forbid, you're in a catastrophic accident and you need surgery. $50,000 only goes so far.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're getting the maximum, you're paying for the maximum PIP insurance or no fault insurance that you can. Okay. It's pennies on the dollar. It's worth it to do it. It covers you. And it also covers the passengers in your car. Okay. Very important. Okay. Now, you also want to look at your supplementary uninsured motorist coverage. That is coverage that you purchase when, and it helps you when you're in a car accident with somebody who's only driving around with the minimum limits, or if their insurance lapsed. So you could be driving around the North Fork, Riverhead, and you could be in an accident with somebody whose insurance was canceled, or who only has $25,000 in coverage. So say for instance you're in that catastrophic accident. You know what? You'll only get $25,000 when all is said and done, minus my fee. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the best thing to do is to look at those coverages because also the mandatory minimum of SUM coverage is 25,000. You want to raise that. You want to get that as high as possible. You can only match it to your liability limit. So if you have the $100,000 on that top line that I told you about, you can only go up to 100. So the more insurance you can buy, the more you're covering yourself and your passengers in your car. And that's so important. So get as much as you can afford. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Now we
thank you,
haven't.
Jeena. I think this is so informative because, like Tracy said in the beginning, I think when you think about lawyer, especially after accidents, you immediately assume that it's more so about, more a negative spin on it, that it's about suing somebody
Right.
and claiming things and stuff. Where I so appreciate this conversation where people can be proactive and make sure that they're covered for things that they may end up needing because it's human nature to not want to think about these things, just like
Exactly.
life insurance and things like that. You want to avoid it. And unfortunately, if you avoid it too long, you'll end up at a point where you need it and you don't have it. So I really do appreciate, and I think Allstate better get ready for a few phone calls from a few of us going,
Good.
I heard about some and talk to me about that. And, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Anytime. And if you or any of our listeners today, our watchers today, have any questions, they can always contact my office. My number is 631-828-5552, or you can IM me on Instagram or even on through my Facebook page. I have a business Facebook page as well. It's the Law Office of Jeena Belil. So there's a lot of ways to contact me. You don't have to just call. Like I said, I'm mobile, I'm virtual, I'm available pretty much 24/7, except when
Well, we
I'm
haven't.
sleeping.
We haven't discussed the other side of it, which you said you also work with people who have injuries at work.
Well, yes, I do. I represent construction workers,
Okay.
not under workers' comp,
Okay.
but there's this very specific law. It's only in New York where construction workers who are on a commercial site, if they fall from a height or if something falls on them from a height and they are injured, they're entitled to sue the landowner, the commercial landowner
Interesting.
of where they're working. It's a little carve out in the law, and it's one of the most interesting areas of the law that I practice.
Interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
Okay, speaking of interesting, I think I know you're laughing because you know where I'm going. I
Yes.
think I found you on social media before I found your professional lawyer account. And know you have your personal account. And I don't know which account that which you post on. You have a very interesting take on your outfits when you're in court, correct? So let's talk
I
a
do.
little bit about your fun that you have there.
Sure. So, why should the guys have all the fun with their ties? The guys come in, their ties are so nice. I walk into court and, I'm
Because
wearing
you're
a nice top and a
you have to be professional. So
very
yes.
professional, very professional. But one thing that I do have fun with are my socks. So I usually wear pantsuits to court. I'm a little bit more comfortable in pantsuits than I am in dresses because of the kind of shoes I have to wear. I have a bad foot, so I have to wear kind of dowdy kind of shoes. So I usually wear pantsuits. So I wanted to make things fun, and during depositions or when I go to court, yeah, I put on some fun socks, and I'll post my socks when, sometimes when I'm going to court, and I'll hashtag law socks, and it'll be my socks of the
But
day.
they're always so fun, and it's such a creative way to reflect your mood because here you are in like a really serious discussion, and I'm sure you look down and you're like, "There's monsters on my side."
I was gonna wear Grover today to, to kind of give tribute to Gen X, but
Yeah.
because I'm part of Gen X. But I thought instead I would wear socks in honor of our upcoming eclipse taking
Oh.
place on Monday.
You have eclipse
I,
socks?
well, not really, but they, you can,
It works.
they're not literal, but they're
You could
figurative.
stretch. You could stretch it.
Do you want to see my socks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I have to contort myself a little bit. Here we go. I don't.
Still
Let's see.
not in the
So,
camera. You might have to move it a little.
so I
Oh. Okay.
So
Five,
I'm wearing Van Gogh's Starry Night
oh, I
socks.
see it
Yes.
now. Yes, of
Yes.
course. Oh, I love it. You're gonna have to take a picture. You're gonna have to take a picture of the socks and send it to us, and we'll add that in the stories.
Yes.
Because I just thought, people are so creative in so many ways, and I thought that was such a quiet, subtle, but personal, but wonderful expression of your personality and who you are. And I just got a kick out of it. And so that's
Well,
really how.
every time I see you, you ask me what type of socks I'm wearing. Where are my socks?
And then one time you had basic old socks, and you were like, "Darn, I didn't know I was going to run into you."
Well,
And then, of course, we got to
knows.
know you more through the web group, which is such an amazing
Oh, yeah.
group and resource that we have on the North Fork. So I'm really grateful that we connected and that you're here on the show, giving us all this wonderful information.
Same here. I can't wait to see you at the next event.
Yeah, I think it's
All
coming
right. So
up soon. Is it next week already?
yes.
Yeah, I can't make that one, so it's going to
Yeah.
be the next
Yeah,
event.
I think it's next week at Little Fish. So yes, can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait to connect with everybody then. Tracy, you
Excellent.
ready to jump in?
I'm ready. So we're going to end our show the same way we do every week with the NOFO Live 5, and I'll kick it off. It's been several weeks since I've been here, so now I need to think about what the hell my questions are. Oh my God.
I have a 10. I can't think.
I literally can't. I'm going to ask any of the questions because I don't know if it's. Oh, if you were going to take Sunita and I out to lunch or dinner, where would you take us?
I'm going to take you both out to lunch, and I'm going to give props to my friend Lucci over at Good Food. I don't know if you've had her on the show.
No.
But I love good food. My husband and I, we pass by on our way back from court or our office in Riverhead, and we will stop there for lunch. First of all, her Basque cheesecake is incredible. If you're looking for just a nice dessert to bring to somebody's house,
Wait, what
just
kind
pick
of
up one of her Basque
cheesecake
cheese.
did you say?
It's Basque cheesecake. It's almost like it looks burnt on the outside.
Wow.
It's caramelized. It's amazing. But I'm a sucker for her falafel sandwiches.
Wow. Wait,
Yeah,
where is
yeah.
she located?
So she's in Mattituck. She's around the corner
Behind
from
Love
Loveland.
Lane, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
I've
And
had her like they're I guess I don't know that they're vegan, but they're vegetarian empanadas
yes,
with like beans and stuff. Oh my God, they're delicious.
absolutely. So yeah, I definitely want to give her a shout out, and I would love to see her on your show.
Oh, I made a note. We're definitely going to reach out
Perfect.
and get her on the show. But more importantly, Tracy, we need to go there and eat the food
Well,
first.
Yes.
Quickly.
Yes.
Let me take you both. Let me take you both for lunch.
Oh, we'd love that.
Perfect.
That
I
would be
can't wait to
lovely.
see what socks you wear. I'm sure you have socks for that.
Absolutely.
Wait, how many socks do you have actually?
Last count was about 200 pair.
I was gonna say, I bet everybody knows what to get you for holidays and gifts.
Many, yeah, I get many sock gifts from clients.
Yeah.
As thank yous.
So fun. So fun, though. All right, I know you mentioned you live in South. Do you catch a sunrise or a sunset here in the area or Riverhead?
Yes. So I have two places. One is in my backyard. I love sunsets and sunrises actually in my front yard. But I do love going to Kenny's Beach in the summertime. It's a great place to watch a sunset.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. And in the web, we just talked about the web meeting, which is next week, right around the corner from there.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll catch and capture one
Absolutely.
when we're there next week. Mocktail, cocktail, wine, beer. What's your thing?
Pomanock wine.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are one of the oldest. They are one of the oldest around here, right? Or at least they've been here a long time.
They've been here a long time. I'm sorry about that noise. I'm getting texts and I get that wah, 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 wah. So I think so. We're wine club members there, and their reds are really, really very good. When we first started coming out here, I mean, when we lived in Queens, we would come out here. We would come to the pig roasts. We would, come to the wineries, and it was mostly the whites. They were concentrating on the whites out here, but the reds have really come very far. And Pomanock does a great job, and Roanoke also does a great job with their reds.
And Pomanock is a great small family
Yes.
run business. So, always love, shout out to small family businesses. So that's
Absolutely.
really great.
Absolutely.
So when you're cooking at home, what farm stands do you like to hit up?
I love Wowak.
Yeah.
Yep. And if I need something quick, I'm pretty close to Country View, so that's where I'll hit up if I'm at home.
See, you're lucky
Okay.
though, because your commute is to Riverhead when you do go. So you
Yes,
have the opportunity to pass many.
yes,
People usually end up going around the block in a circle where they are. So I can see how you can do Country View and Mowac because you pass both.
Yeah.
exactly,
That's awesome.
exactly.
That's
Yep.
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we usually wrap up the show with our last question, which is why do you love being a part of the North Fork community?
We moved here, and first of all, we love our neighborhood. People are so welcoming and so supportive. You need something, you need a lemon from your neighbor. They'll give you a lemon. It's. My husband grew up in Stonington, Connecticut, and we moved out of Brooklyn. I grew up in kind of I guess an exurb of Manhattan, where, you still saw cows, there were a lot of farms, and it seems like we both kind of wanted to get back to that. And, and people knowing each other a little bit better than in the suburbs out here, which I really didn't get to know people that well when I lived in other places. And now I feel like I've set roots down, and I've become part of the community, and I've been welcomed here. So I think that's what it's all about.
Yes. Well,
And
thank
what a
you so much
beautiful
for being
feeling
on.
that is, right? To
Mm,
feel part of a community.
absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Well, thank you for being on. Thank you for the great information, and thank you for being there for somebody that does, end up needing your help and expertise. So, thank you again, and I will see you at next. I was going to say I will see you at the web meeting, but you said you're not going to be there, right?
Right. So we'll plan a
Oh,
lunch. Let's do
yes,
that
Yes.
before the May meeting. Let's definitely plan a lunch
that
That
sounds
sounds
at
awesome.
Luci's.
great.
That sounds awesome.
Okay.
Have a great
All right.
weekend, everybody, and let's hope it's spring the next time we talk again.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so.
Thank you, everybody.
It was
Bye.
great.
Feel
Bye,
Take
better,
care.
everyone.
Tracy.